Kia ora everyone, welcome into the Kiwi Darts Podcast with your host, Ben Francis. Once again, thank you as always for tuning into the show. Trying to get back into the groove of things after a little break, but this is our second episode of 2025, so we appreciate everyone listening in, however you're listening in, whatever platform that is. It is great having you tuning into the Kiwi Darts Podcast, hearing the stories from our New Zealand players, and always talking darts from a New Zealand perspective. In today's episode, we catch up with the world number 5 women's player in the world. Yes, Nicole Regnaud has been making massive strides in female darts of late. Now number 5 in the world, fresh off a quarterfinal appearance at the Women's World Champs at Lakeside. Nicole was pretty busy, and it was great to catch up with her and to share some pretty exciting news as well, which has been awesome. So firstly, Nicole Regnaud, thanks so much for joining us here on the Kiwi Darts Podcast. I have to ask, how was your Christmas break after such an intense few weeks there at the World Darts Championships? I hope you had a nice break.
It was really good, thank you. Nice to take some time out and chill.
That's good to hear. And of course, doing this podcast coinciding as well with a big announcement on your part, and that is the fact that you are moving to Shot Darts. So firstly, congratulations on the move, of course, you being in New Zealand and Shot being a New Zealand company. Can you just tell us a bit about how this move has come about?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely excited to be back with Shot. They were one of my first sponsors as a young gun when I was in their under-18 program. So 2025 is just the year of a bit of change, and yeah, I'm happy to kind of be back to my roots and supporting New Zealand company. And yeah, I think there's really great things to come from that.
It's really exciting to hear, and I guess with the change as well, I guess it means you're going to be using a different dart as well. So I don't know how much you can reveal at the moment, but how much is your setup going to change, or can you describe a bit about your dart at all?
Yeah, I think it'll be something that we look to in the future. Very exciting, getting to hopefully craft my own barrel at some stage. No big changes for right now for the beginning of the season, which is very good for me. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to work with Shot. They've got some great people. Yeah, so I think it's going to be really cool.
One question I like to ask people that move to Shot is about going to the factory. And I guess with you being in New Zealand, I guess you'll be able to just whip up there anytime you need to. I don't know how far the drive is from where you are, but I guess it's quite handy just having that, I guess you're the sponsor right there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that'll be really good just to be able to communicate with them on the same time zone. I'm sure will be very helpful. But yeah, they're always right around the corner. They've got representatives all over the country. So I'm sure that we're going to connect a lot. Yeah, looking forward to working with them.
And of course, as well, lots of top New Zealand players are part of the Shot team as well, from all range levels as well. And then even just on the global stage as well, some big names are part of the Shot team there too.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm really excited to have the team in New Zealand, some great players that they've just signed, like they've got TMK, Jamie Hilton-Jones, Josh Walters, and then obviously big names like Michael Smith. So it'd be really cool to be a part of the team.
How long have you had to kind of keep this quiet for?
It's definitely, yeah, it's been in the works for a little bit, but I think it has to coincide, I think, with a lot of other background things going on. But yeah, no, I really appreciate how long they've kind of been patient with me to sort things out on lots of different levels.
I guess from your perspective as well, I was looking at your schedule for the last year, and no doubt it's going to be busy again this coming year as well. And look, I'm just going to go back and reflect a little bit, and it's been coming on a couple of months since Lakeside. Obviously, we probably had a bit of time to sit down and reflect on the whole occasion of being at Lakeside for the second time, I think it was, in your careers. So what was some of your takeaways from this time around?
Obviously, going into the tournament in 2023, when it was my first year, it was really good in some ways because no one expected anything of me. The only pressure I was putting on myself was from myself and my high standard. So I learned a lot from that tournament, took away a lot of great experiences and got to talk to some really cool people. And going into 2024 as a seed was huge. And obviously there was a little bit more expectancy of how I would go based on the year before performances. But no, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to hopefully get back again this year and see how things go.
Would you say the second time around you were more nervous for the occasion, I guess, being the higher seed and I guess people being a bit more aware of you? I'd assume, of course, being there that the other players would be aware of you, but I guess you came in the second time around as the seed, probably that extra year experience as well, and after such a dominant year as well.
Yeah, I think so. It was interesting being a seed because obviously you miss out on that first round. So while everyone else is getting quite comfortable with the stage and the audience and how things actually go, you kind of have to hit the ground running in that second round and give it your all, really. I did really enjoy it. It taught me a lot, I think, how to handle yourself, the pressure, a little bit more about what people expect from you, considering they are watching and basing it on your last year's performance. Yeah, no, I was really happy to be there and a bit disappointing performance from me. I expected a lot more from myself, and I think I also was aware of other people expecting a lot more from me as well. So hopefully this year I can kind of go back and show actually why I was there and put on a bit of a better performance.
Well, it could be third time lucky for you, but I guess your opening game this time round was against Wendy Harper, of course, another fellow New Zealander, and you guys have had countless battles. You've probably lost count the amount of times you guys have had a last leg shootout for a win in a final and things like that. It's absolutely crazy. So, of course, being a Kiwi, you want to see other Kiwis do well, but being on that stage, you're out there and you're wanting to win. So, how hard was that for a first up match?
In some ways it was really good. Like obviously we're both comfortable with each other. We know how each other play. We can kind of know what to expect. And of course I know how incredibly talented Wendy is. So I knew that there was no chance of just like a easy game. I knew that she was going to bring it all. And especially when we're going all that way across the world and we do happen to actually have to play each other, we're both going in there with guns blazing. We both want to win, but obviously we also are very close and want the best for each other. So it was tough to kind of put that aside. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of respect in the game, which is what we both wanted.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, next up was Detta and didn't go to plan in that game. So, yes, flying all the way over there, good first up performance, and it must be hard with that display in the next game there.
Yeah, for sure. Disappointing is probably just a good way to put it. I expected a lot, especially even the practice leading up to that day. Everything was perfect. I expected big things, and it just didn't translate on the stage, which is it happens, and it's hard to not be so hard on yourself because you can't base it all on one performance. But when it's on like a world stage, it's hard to not think like that. But yeah, she came out, she knew what she was doing, she knew what she wanted from that game, and she did play really well. So it's not all based on my performance. She definitely deserved to win. I just kind of wish I'd given her more of a game.
When you're up on the stage and you're facing someone like Detta who has got a lot of experience on world champs and multiple tournaments around the world, are you aware of whether that what she's doing on stage or even before the scenes about how she gets herself ready, or even just some of the other players, these top players around the world that you've come up against in the past?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, the tournament being based in England, it's hard not to notice that the crowd love her, and for good reason. So she definitely had a lot of support. And one thing you need to get good at is zoning in on the dartboard and kind of pushing everything out, which is one thing that I struggled with in that game, actually. I felt like my focus wasn't quite there. I could kind of hear everything around me, which is never helpful. But yeah, no, you're definitely aware of like the way they practice, the way they warm up. There's definitely a set routine going on. So you do learn a lot on the stage and even backstage before your match.
And what about the crowd? Because it seems like that the crowd can be really close to that stage. It probably wouldn't take much to hear the crowd, whether they're whatever it is they're doing, whether that's talking or singing or just trying to have a good time, maybe dropping a beer or two.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely very close, but we're lucky at Lakeside. I think everyone that comes to watch is a dart player, so they're super respectful. They know what they're doing. They don't make too much noise. They're there to watch the darts, which is one of the great parts about Lakeside.
And I have to say, I was quite jealous when I saw this pop up on your social feeds. I guess probably the highlight of the whole tournament was getting to meet one of the true legends of darts, and that was Paul Lim. There was a photo of you and him there at the World Champs, and I can't remember which game it was. It was either the semi-final or the final. You were there, and they zoomed on your mobile, and you had written "I love Paul Lim" on it, which was quite a cool moment. So, what was it like meeting him?
Oh, it was so great. The first time I'd seen him was when I was in the Netherlands playing at the World Masters, and he kind of had his little entourage and he was on a mission. And I'm super shy anyway in person, but I hate to be that person that kind of bothers anyone when they're in the zone, don't want to mess with their routine or anything. So I'd kind of already let that opportunity miss. And then knowing that he was coming to Lakeside, my kind of one goal was to actually talk to him and get a photo. He's actually a really good friend of one of our local dart players, Andy. They played together back in Singapore in the 80s. So it was cool to actually have a chat with him. And he was super excited to hear about how Andy is and what he's up to. And he was actually really nice. After I did lose to Dieter, he came over and kind of gave me a bit of a shake up and told me not to dwell on it too much. So I'm definitely super thankful that I just got on with it and actually asked him for a photo because he is so lovely. So yeah, no, that was definitely one of my favorite moments.
And I guess moments like that are just absolutely priceless, especially someone of his respect in the game as well.
Yeah, for sure. And for him to have such an amazing tournament as well, like it's just incredible to see all ages in darts being able to get to that level. So no, it was definitely amazing.
Overall at the tournament, Bo Greaves, I think, ended up coming on top and winning. But I just wanted to kind of get your perspective on where women's darts is at the moment, because yourself, you're in your 20s and you're doing an awesome job. I think Bo's 21, and you had Sophie as well, which is the other young lady who I think lost in the final. She's only a teenager, I think. So you've got all these top players, your veterans like your Detters, Lisa Ashtons, etc. But then you've got this young crop of young female dart players coming through. So in terms of your perspective, where do you think the women's game is at the moment, and how have you seen it develop, I guess, over the past few years?
Yeah, for sure. I think the women's game is in great hands, and seeing the likes of Bo Greaves, who's just won 2 challenge tours, it's absolutely incredible. Beating not only women, not only men, but like people that, have tried out for a tour card and like missed by centimeters is absolutely insane. Sophie was amazing. The level of calm and maturity that she showed in those games was just like you learn something from these youngsters watching all their games, as well as being a player there. Like, I'm just so excited to be at Lakeside. I think we went to pretty much every session, watched a lot of the juniors played. Like, the boys had like a 90 average. Paige Pauling hitting like a 158 finish in one of her games. It's just incredible to see it coming through. And it just really shows that darts and the younger generations, like, it's going to be really good. Yeah, it's in safe hands.
And you just touched on Bo Greaves there with what she did on the Challenge Tour, and it really makes you think in terms of how much of an inspiration she is. I guess not for, I guess you could say definitely darts, but I guess woman in sport in general, because she is doing this against some really top men players, and she's making it look so easy against it. So I guess overall, you obviously met her, seen her up and close, so what inspiration does she kind of have for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And she's such an amazing dart player, but she's also like the most humble, down-to-earth person you'd ever meet. Her success is incredible. And then to talk with her, and she's just so bubbly and full of advice. Like, she wants to help everyone achieve kind of the milestones that she's got through. Yeah, no, it's amazing to see, and she is a big ambassador for the game.
Yeah, because she really is, because you see someone like Luke Littler, of course, is getting all the attention in the world of darts at the moment, and for winning the world champs at 17, you could say that, but I think Bo Greaves, should almost be in that kind of same element, because she makes the game look just super easy at times, and it's absolutely incredible how she can just go out there and easily throw a 10, 12 darter, and it's one of those incredible things that when she kind of throws, if she gets her first start in the triple 20, you almost know that the other two are going to go in there because she's that consistent and that good.
Yeah, for sure. The World Cup in 2023 that was in Denmark, she knocked me out of the pairs and the singles. The singles was with a 100 average. She whitewashed me, and she just kind of laughs it off. She doesn't actually realize how amazing she is, I think. She's just there to play darts, and however it happens is a whatever. But the level of darts that she can play and not even look like it's hard is incredible.
I guess so as well, that I guess it is good for the women's game because it's going to encourage yourself and all the other players coming through to really push themselves and lift their game as well. And that's just going to increase the overall standard and I guess the overall profile of women's darts. And, that can only lead to bigger and better things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think being able to attend these international tournaments and see where your level is against these other ladies that you've pretty much looked up to your whole life, and then obviously the youngsters coming through, just makes you more passionate and motivated in the game. It just makes you want to play harder and do more. And yeah, I hope that people back in New Zealand, especially, the women and the kids, can see kind of the pathway to how to get there too, and hopefully follow.
Looking ahead to 2025, you've got quite a lot of titles to defend this year, especially locally. Do you remember all of them that you have to defend?
Yeah, absolutely. And Mama J keeps good track of all of that as well. But yeah, it's going to be a jam-packed year again. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think the kind of time off between December and kind of February where it all kicks off again, it's a nice chill out zone. But then you do start missing it. And I think by the time February rolls around, you're kind of ready to get right back in the midst of it.
Do you head into tournaments where you are defending a trophy feeling a bit of extra pressure, or I'm purely asking because, of course, I've never won anything on a dartboard and I'm never going to be defending anything on a dartboard probably. But I guess when you head in, is there a slight sense of pressure trying to defend the title, or do you just have to really focus in and think this is business as usual? Just pretend this is obviously up for grabs this year. I'm not the current holder of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something that you think of, but part of my routine is, one game at a time. You can't think about winning the title when you're still playing section play or your first knockout game. So I just really try to take it kind of one game, one leg at a time, and try not to get too far ahead of myself, because if I'm thinking about winning, then there's more chance that I'm going to lose an early knockout game,
Yeah, I totally understand that. And is there a title you haven't won locally that you would like to get your hands on this year, or even in Australia, for example?
Oh, good question. This is good. I can't think of one that I really have my eyes on. Yeah, I'm hoping to do really well this year. I think my focus for new tournaments would be doing really well on the DPNZ Pro Tour this year. I think a good performance there, not necessarily a win, because that is going to be super tough with the crazy talent that is displayed on that tour. But I think a good run would do it for me.
That's a perfect segue, actually, because that's where I was going to kind of veer through next with regards to the DPNZ Tour. Of course, I think you played in all the events, more if not all, you played in most of them last year. What was your reason for wanting to have a crack on the DPNZ Tour? And it's purely asking because it's, of course, primarily males that play in it. You see the odd female play in the odd event, but you focusing and taking part in, as I say, all, if not most. What was kind of the reason you wanted to have a go at that?
Yeah, I nearly made it to all of them this year. Last year, I missed one weekend because I had COVID, so that was great. DPNZ Pro Tour has kind of been like a little bit of a side quest for me. Being able to play those huge names and the talent that those men have, I think is a huge investment for me. Being able to play those tough games and being the underdog again, I think is really good for me. Obviously, nothing's really expected. I like to scare the men because, they never know what to expect. But yeah, no, it's really just an investment in myself, I think, to go out of my way to find those hard games and improve my level of darts, which I think is just really good for overall. Those men do not give you any chances, so there's no room for error, which I think really has helped my game in the last year or so.
What part of your game do you think playing in those events and those high level of games has actually helped you? So is there one aspect that you can focus on that say, actually doing this has actually made me improve in this aspect? Or
I've always been quite a heavy power scorer, so I've never had too much of a trouble getting down to like the end of a leg. It's just closing out the leg, which I think needs a bit of work. And obviously, with those men chasing right behind, they're not going to give you any chances. So if you miss, you're done. So yeah, it really puts the pressure on you closing out that leg, to keep going. So it's a good investment, I think, and it's been going well so far.
You'll be pleased to know I played in one event a couple of years ago and it did not go well. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I guess with you doing the DPNZ as well, you've had to spend a lot of time actually mapping out how your year's going to look, which is quite crazy with so many events on. And of course, you have personal stuff as well. So I guess how far ahead have you actually looked in terms of prepping your schedule for 2025?
I think in order to get everything in, get cheap flights, get everything going, you need to be looking ahead at least 3, 4, 5 months. So I think we've kind of mapped out the first 6 months of the year is usually how we go. I have an incredible mum who acts as my manager as well, and she's the most organized person I've ever met. So she's on my case constantly, like, we need to book these flights, I've booked this accommodation, this is where you're going to be, this is the time you need to ask for off work so that we can get this all set out. We only booked our flights for Lakeside in maybe September, and that really stressed her out. And as soon as we'd finished that off, she was like, thank you, I can cross this off my list, so that she could sleep better at night. So yeah, definitely a planning family, and it definitely helps in all aspects. Being able to get to tournaments cheaper obviously helps a lot. I have a big calendar on the wall, there's a lot going on.
For yourself, you're probably someone that a lot of young up-and-coming female dart players look up to. How would you say what probably needs to happen to take the women's game locally to the next level, where we are having a lot more young players taking to the Oki, and who knows, we could end up producing a Bo Greaves, for example?
Yeah, for sure. I think the amount of juniors that we have coming through in New Zealand is incredible, and the talent that they have is actually astonishing. Being able to take away our first New Zealand youth team to the test match we had with Australia, I think that showed we definitely need to be doing that more often. So fingers crossed that we can take a youth team to the World Cup in South Korea this year. But yeah, I think everyone just kind of undervalues themselves. Like, there might be club players, but not quite ready to take that step to competition. But I think you just need to give it a go. Like, honestly, get stuck in, and I think everyone will impress themselves, and getting to see new faces at tournaments is great, and everyone's so friendly. So yeah, no, I really enjoy it.
For yourself, and I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, and it's probably living on the other side of the world. Have you got a desire to potentially play in the women's series one day?
That's one of my favorite weekends of darts to watch. Every time they're on, being able to watch those ladies in their element, getting to play each other that often, is definitely a dream. But yeah, it's not that easy, is it? I would absolutely love to just drop everything and just head over to the other side of the world. But obviously, those tournaments are only kind of once a month. So it would be figuring out what to do in the meantime, the financial cost that's come with that. And then obviously leaving pretty much everything behind to chase a dream is, it's a big ask. I wouldn't say no, though. We'll see.
Of course you wouldn't say no, but yes, it's totally understandable, and I guess that's the beauty of living on the complete opposite side of the world, though, at times, and you'll definitely know what the amount of travel you've done. And of course, coming up, I think it's February 22nd, you're going to be taking part in the Drowning Darts competition that is taking place in your neck of the woods. So could you just tell us a bit about that and what people could expect to see from that?
Yeah, for sure. So we just attended the qualifiers on the weekend. So 2 qualifiers make up 4 Wellington qualifiers who will go against 4 New Zealand pros. So it'll be me, Mark Cleaver, CC, and Johnny Tata will be playing 4 of the Wellington qualifiers. That's on the 22nd of February at the Bond Sports Bar in Wellington. So I'm really looking forward to that. The Drowning Prevention Darts team, that's all for a great cause. They're a great bunch of guys. And it should be a night of walk-on music. I think they've got a caller. It should be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds like a lot of fun there. And I just got a couple more to wrap up here, Nicole. I believe I said at the start, you're now world number 3. Is that correct?
I think the Las Vegas Open happened last weekend, so I might have dropped to about number 5 now.
Okay.
But yeah,
you're in the top 5 in the world then. I guess that would be factually correct. Do you view yourself as one of the best women's darts players in the world?
Short answer, no. I think especially in New Zealand, tall poppies, it's hard to really base yourself around that number when you see the talent that especially New Zealand has, and especially looking across the world and all of the amazing dart players you do meet. It's an incredible privilege to be ranked that high. A lot of blood, sweat and tears have gone into chasing those tournaments and chasing those ranking points. So it is really a collective effort from my family, my sponsors, and of course a little bit me. But yeah, it's huge, and to be viewed as number 5 is incredible. But yeah, there's always more work to be done. So, we'll keep aiming higher.
To round it off, just a nice, easy one. Of course, we all know that you spend a lot of time playing darts at the Oki and that. But what do you like doing when you're away from the Oki? Because I guess having, interests and things that you like doing away from the Oki is just as important as throwing darts as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of sport watching. The Phoenix, I've been getting into a bit of cricket lately, which is interesting. Also, indoor and outdoor bowls has been quite interesting. I never thought I'd say that. Haven't cracked it in the tennis yet though. That's still horrifically boring, but maybe one day. Yeah, traveling when I get the chance, which is not often. But yeah, just hanging out with family. My sister just had a baby. He's about 4 or 5 months old now. So spending pretty much every possible second with them it's been really great.
Oh, nice. And I guess when just had the one more pop up in my head, so I apologize. What is your favorite venue to play at in New Zealand other than in your area? So let's say, there's not going to be no bias there.
I was going to say, Upper Hutt Darts Association, my dad's the president. I'm on the committee. Great club. Good question. I mean, Kapimana is incredible. Papa T has done an incredible job, as well as, their whole family. The way that club is run is excellent. But again, that's in my area. There's another good one. I love Christchurch. Christchurch is great. The people as well as their club is always good. Yeah, I think I'd have to say Christchurch.
And that's awesome, and I apologize. I keep thinking of questions off the top of my head, so I do apologize. That the fact you're going to be playing in the DPNZ events, is there going to be a possibility that we're going to see you try qualify for the New Zealand Darts Masters?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I gave it a crack last year and it didn't work out too well. But yeah, I'll definitely be giving it a go. It's always good to test yourself, and even to be able to watch whoever does win those qualifiers will be really good.
Well, we'll see you there, because I'll give it a crack, and it won't go down very well, but we'll give it a go, and it will make a few people laugh, but that's all right. Anyways, Nicole Regnaud, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us here, and great hearing about the last 12 months and what's coming up as well. And of course, the move to shot, or back to shot, I should say, as well, is awesome. So congratulations on that, and all the best for 2025. And no doubt we'll chat again in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
The women's world number 5, Nicole Regnaud, joining us here on the Kiwi Darts Podcast. Awesome catching up with her. Awesome news with regards to the move to shot, and such a big year ahead for Nicole. It is going to be great watching her, and you can check her out. She's got her Facebook page, her Nicole Regnaud Darts Facebook page. Keep a track of everything she is doing in her career, all the tournaments, everything will be on that page. So follow that. Keep track of Nicole. She is destined for big things. That's all we've got time for here on the Kiwi Darts Podcast. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another feature interview, talking to another top New Zealand player. We look forward to having you listen in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that usual stuff. Kiwi Darts Podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever. We're also on Instagram as well, Kiwi Darts Podcast. Find us on there. We'll look at doing a few giveaways when we have a few more followers, but that is the place to be for all your news about Kiwi Darts.